Next, we will try working with static methods. Static methods are class level methods, and they do not change just merely if the state of an object changes. So these methods are called static methods as they maintain a single copy for all the objects within a class. So let's try creating a class called using static methods. In fact, let me call this one working with static methods. And then later on we can actually um, utilize some of the built-in static methods. Now always remember that static methods are always called by the class names, unlike non-static methods which are called by the object names. As you would have noticed in our previous employee2 example, let me take you back to that employee2 example so that you can see what I'm talking about. When we call the setter or the getter, we call it using an object name. So in order for these setters and getters to be called, the object name is required. But on the other hand, notice that when I called show input dialog, or when I called parse double, to the left I did not use an object name, rather I used a class name. So if a class name is used to call a method, it is called a static method. If an object name is used to call a method, it's called a non-static method. Non-static methods are at object level because different objects may call them and they will reflect only the values within the object. On the other hand, the static methods are at the class level, so that means they pretty much reflect a generic idea, not a specific idea to one particular object. So now keeping that in mind, in this new class we have already defined or written out one static method which is main, so that our program is executable. Now let's try creating some other static methods like public static void means the method will not going to return anything, and let's call this one print message. So we'd like to print a message using this particular entity. And now we're going to write out a message here. Welcome to Java world. Okay, and we will call this print message from right within the main method. And since one static method is calling another static method of the same class, therefore we do not need to use the class name as a reference. Class name as a reference to the static method is only required if a method is being called from another class. So in one of the other examples I'll also show you how that works. So now when I execute this, you will be able to see welcome to Java world right in the console at the bottom. So now let's try introducing another public static method, but this time I won't use a method that doesn't return anything. Rather, I'll use a method that returns something. So let me call this one as a integer, and I'm going to call this as zip code. And all this what program will do is it's going to return a zip. We're going to define that variable right over here, integer zip, and let's set it to a value 54367. You can also return a value after accepting it from the user. So instead of hard coding the value, I can actually call upon JOption pane and convert it to integer.parse, and right within the main method I will going to have my local variable zip. Now notice the two variables zip. This zip is local to the main method because it is declared right within the main method, and this zip is local to the zip code method because it's declared right within the zip code method. So I'll use this zip variable to call upon zip code, and when the value comes back, it will simply display that value back to the user. And let's try executing this code. Look at the console. Now you should see in the console two lines of output. Welcome to Java world, and zip code is 54367. Now let's make a little change here, and let's try to incorporate the J option pane dot show input dialog so that we accept message from user. And as you will gonna notice that this will gonna initially give me an error because of the same reason as we discussed in the last tutorial. The type mismatch cannot convert from a string to an integer. So now we will gonna use integer dot parse end, and we will gonna now use that to convert the string into an equivalent integer. And this is an implementation. Right on this one line you can see that two static methods are being called from integer in JOptionPane class. And integer class belongs to the java.lang package. That is why I don't need any import statement. Show input dialog box belongs to JOptionPane class, which actually belongs to javax.swing package. That is why it automatically gets added over here in this version of Eclipse. If for any reason Eclipse is not able to pick up the class that you are trying to incorporate and keeps giving you an error that the class not found, you can always go into the menu source and you can choose organize imports, or you can use a shortcut of Control-Shift-O. Either way, what we're going to do is we're going to go through your entire class and look for all the classes that are not understandable, and then we're going to check in the Java repository to check to see if it can resolve it by importing the packages automatically. Now sometimes what happens is that the same class name belongs to multiple packages. For example, we have a date class which is in java.util package as well as java.sql package. In that case, we're going to give you an option, a little dialog box asking you to choose one of the two, and then when you choose the organize, but you have to go through source and organize import for the dialog box to pop up, and then it's going to show up in the import statements up there. So now let's try to run this one real quick. As we run this one, it asks me to enter a zip code. So if I enter a zip code over here and hit OK, as you can see in the console, it displays the same message, but now displays the zip code that I just entered. Thank you.